Hello, One Knowledge. My view is Soul Leveling, Chapter 179, the final chapter. And we open up with the world's most accurate fortune teller predicting the god of death and an army that is literally countless will descend from the sky. And then on the prophesized day, a giant rift appears in space above Korea, and everyone is strangely calm about it. They actually seem disappointed when nothing comes through. But I mean, seriously, you people don't know. There could be invisible monsters, nanobots, poisonous gas, even just straight up radiation. The government should have already shown up and evacuated the entire town, gotten everyone as far away as possible while they try to figure out exactly what the freak this thing is. I mean, seriously, right after this, Jinwoo goes to get ice cream, and the ice cream shop is still up and running, despite the fact that just a few blocks away, something has happened that defies all known understandings of logic and science and reality. People should be way, way more freaked out about this and running for their freaking lives. I mean, you could say their ignorance is justified because they don't know about man or monsters or anything like that, but that's not really a good excuse. I mean, let's not forget when Jinwoo's sister's school was attacked, her classmates, stood right in front of the gate, despite them knowing what a gate was and that monsters could come out of it because they thought, oh, there's no way a week has passed, without realizing, oh, wait, a week has actually passed. And there was that Canadian hunter who decided to go to the giant freaking gate because he was convinced that Jinwoo was a liar. Oh, that guy was an idiot. I mean, seriously, he tried to make the Monarch of Destruction his servant. Bad idea, bad idea. But either way, this giant rift appearing in the sky is going to fuel conspiracy theories for decades, centuries even, as they all try to figure out exactly what happened. What was the source of this? What was the fortune teller's reaction to it, connection to it? What's going on in this world? What the freak happened? And no matter what explanation they come up with, there's no way it'll be as insane as the truth that a baby-faced young man leaped out of the gate, turned himself invisible, and then was greeted by an emissary of the rulers carrying flowers. Oh my god, I love that touch. I freaking love the touch. The dude was waiting for him with flowers to congratulate him on not dying and actually managing to wipe out, the most devastating, terrifying, destructive force in the entire freaking universe. Huzzah! I love it. And then they decide, you know what, here's not the best place to talk. So Jinwoo invites the emissary out to ice cream because apparently 30 years in a void without anything really works up the sweet tooth. Oh my god, I love it. I absolutely love it. And the emissary decides to say, so Jinwoo, I know you spent the last 30 years fighting to protect your family, to keep them safe, to keep them happy. How'd you feel about never seeing them ever again and instead going to another world? I mean, I've got some great options for you to choose from. And Jinwoo's reaction to this certainly isn't all that positive, but the emissary does make some fairly good points. I mean, the fortune teller was just an average old fortune teller before, 2 years ago, but because of her connection with Jinwoo in the alternate timeline, it radiated backwards, and now she's an actual fortune teller with actual magical abilities. And, Jinwoo certainly didn't mean for that to happen, but that's, the point. That's a really, really big concern. This world cannot handle mana at all. They have no resistance to it. I mean, let's not forget the whole reason why Jinwoo's mother and his best friend's father were in a coma was because they were not able to adapt to mana. They weren't able to adapt to, mana pouring in from the gates. And Jinwoo has so very, very much more mana than that. So it's entirely possible he could poison his family, his friends, his loved ones, or, anyone else just walking around the world. He could create a whole new generation of hunters just from existing in this world. And while he's probably, doing his best to keep his mana contained, a little bit could leak out and cause a whole bunch of consequences that he would have no way of predicting. So, yeah, it does actually make sense for him to go somewhere else, him to go to another world where he is less poisonous. I mean, his stats are basically all maxed out, and he's on a world that's playing on easy. Why not go to another world where he can actually use his powers to protect the people from bigger, badder, more monstrous threats? That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Jinwoo is probably going to want to live, a peaceful, quiet life, so there's not a whole lot he can do in this world with his powers while remaining incognito. Maybe, dealing with some petty criminal stuff like that. He can't, stop crime, stop wars, anything like that without revealing himself, without revealing exactly who he is, and that would just cause him so very, very many headaches. So all he can really do in this world is, live his ordinary life without ever using his, abilities to their full potential. So why not go somewhere else where he can actually make a difference? And in the end, he doesn't really come to an answer for the emissary. He says, I'll make my decision at a later date. He wants to, think about it for a bit. He wants to decide if there's a purpose he can have in this world. And thankfully, at that exact moment, his girlfriend shows up. Yay! And he realizes, I'm going to be here for my friends, for my family, for my loved ones. I'm going to find a purpose here for their sake, or at least for the sake of being there for them and keeping them safe. And then he chases after his girlfriend, which is interesting choice because let's not forget he is 50, 60 years old at this point. He has lived a lot of years, and she's 12, 13, 14 maybe. The age difference there is just very, very concerning. And this actually goes quite differently in the web novel, which I will now spoil. So, spoiler warning. I would highly, highly recommend you go find the web novel online, read the epilogue. It is so worth it. It gives closure to so many characters. It's such a great read. Seriously, go read it. But if you don't, I'm going to start spoiling things. All right, so in the web novel, she does actually smell him. She does notice him, but he doesn't seem to notice her. Instead, walks right by and goes home, goes see his family, and tries to explain to them where he's been for the last 2 years without revealing anything about men or monsters or anything else about that, which is, certainly not an easy task, but somehow, some way, he managed to convince them, okay, Jinwoo's back, we're happy, we're content, we're all living our best lives again. Woo! And he seemingly never reveals the truth to any of them about monsters, monarchs, or anything like that, except for his father, who still remembers everything because he was an emissary for the rulers, and as a result, his memories weren't erased when time was reset. So yeah, that's definitely a double-edged sword. While Jinwoo was away, he was fully aware of exactly where he was, all alone in the darkness, fighting against army, millions strong, all by himself. But at the same time, he knows just how strong his son is, and that his son will certainly come back to him someday, and he's able to reassure his wife and daughter at least a little bit that everything's going to be okay, that Jinwoo will come back eventually. So, interesting, definitely interesting. But in the end, he decides that he can't go on remembering things anymore because Jinwoo's, sacrificed so much, fought so hard so that his family could live a happy life. And he asked the current emissary of the rulers to erase his memories so that he can live in ignorance and bliss just like Jinwoo wanted, just so he can be an ordinary father to his son again, which I thought was an absolutely amazing moment, though I really, really wanted a scene where Jinwoo's father came to him and said, son, I remember everything. I know everything. I'm so freaking proud of you. Now I'm going to get my memories erased. But that just might be my own daddy issue shining through. Anyway, as for his girlfriend, he doesn't actually go and meet her because he thinks that'd be weird. Instead, he joins the track team so that he can, meet her at a track meet when their schools compete against one another. And then he heals her leg, her sprained ankle, with magic and says, I'll tell you everything if you beat me in a race. And then he goes on to set a world record, which... oh, that's such a Jinwoo move. That's such a Jinwoo move. And then he ends up, dating her. And eventually down the road, she beats him in the race after she cheats. And then he tells her everything. And they go on, get married, have a kid. All happy days. And I really was hoping to see that part adapted because the web novel kind of just skips over entirely. And all of a sudden, one day, she just knows everything. Which, disappointing. Anyway, though, also at that same track meet where he runs into his girlfriend, he runs into Iron. Or at least the guy he murdered and turned into Iron, which... oh, that's an interesting moment right there. Because it comes off as rude Jinwoo at first, and then all of the shadows inside Jinwoo was like, yeah, kill him. Iron's gonna join us again. But at the same time, because Iron was his shadow for so long, he feels the need to call Master and kneel down before him, which just seriously ticks him off and confuses him, and eventually leads him to think that he's in love with Jinwoo, which... oh my god. Thankfully, though, even the God of Death is not cruel enough to leave Iron as confused as he is, and so instead he brainwashes him, basically saying, Iron, listen up. Your power, your strength is not meant for bullying others. It's meant for protecting people. Have some pride. You help save the world. And then Iron goes off to live a better life, which is honestly an absolutely great moment of retribution in this series. Iron was absolutely a horse's butt when he was a human, but, he fought really, really hard as a shadow, and he earned a chance for, a second chance at life, and he earned a shot at second chance at life, a chance to be a better person, to do things better, to be a kind of guy who would actually protect people rather than bully them. That was nice. That was definitely nice. And then we have the chairman. Oh my god, I love the chairman's part of the story. Basically, Jinwoo visits him on his deathbed by teleporting directly into his hospital room and then gives him a potion that lets him live another 10 years. And then 10 years later, Jinwoo visits him again and says, I can heal you, I can fix you. And he says, no, no more. I'm good. I'm done. I've used these 10 years you gave me for my best. I've done as much as I can. Thank you. But I just need to know why. Why did you do this for me? Why me? And so Jinwoo shows him everything. Shows him the monarchs, the rulers, the battle, his own role in it. And the chairman just cries and smiles, so content, so happy that he was able to, play a small role at least in saving the world. He was able to be on the battlefield, and then he dies content, and it's just so satisfying and so amazing, and I freaking loved it. Oh, and then we also have the second chairman, the guy that took over after the first chairman died. In this new timeline, he's a police detective, and the big mystery he's trying to solve is why so many criminals are coming running into the police station, begging to be arrested, confessing to all their crimes, and saying if they don't get booked in the next 24 hours, a monster will kill them. So the police captain decides the best possible course of action is to lock one of these criminals up in a metal box in a shipping container outside the police precinct for, a good 24 hours. And then, once the time has passed, he'll realize it's all a scam and he'll reveal what's actually going on, which is actually just so overwhelmingly cruel. And the criminal gets murdered and all the police officers get knocked out except for the detective slash second chairman who sees the monster, does a sketch of it, and then somehow manages to connect this back to Jin Woo, somehow, some way. And when he goes to visit him, goes to ask him about it, he shows him the drawing, and Jinwoo just laughs off like, oh, this looks like the character from Saturday Morning Cartoon. And then when he goes to hand the sketch back to him, their hands touch ever so briefly, and there's sparks. And as a result of Jinwoo, showing memories, planting memories inside of the detective's brain when he showed him about the rulers and the monarchs, there's a connection between the two of them, and all of a sudden memories of the other timeline come flooding into him, and he remembers everything, and he has a nice long conversation with Jinwoo about it on a park bench, and just says, thank you, Jinwoo, thank you for everything you've done, thank you for all you sacrificed for the rest of us. Oh, that's a great moment right there. And then after that, he becomes the captain of the police precinct, and Jinwoo becomes his detective. Yes, Jinwoo becomes a detective and uses his power over the dead to solve crimes, which honestly could be an entire spin-off on its own. I mean, seriously, Jinwoo is a ghost detective. I love it. I freaking love it. We also have Jinwoo's best friend, who he befriends again in this new timeline because, he is aware of how great this guy is, how wonderful he is, how he really stuck out his neck and just took an absolute freaking beating within an inch of his life, all for the sake of Jinwoo, all for the sake of not betraying him. He is a truly, truly honorable man, and that's why Jinwoo lets him marry his sister. I am not joking. This dude ends up marrying Jinwoo's sister, which I did not see that coming. I seriously not see that coming. I mean, at any point in this series, did these two even have like a single conversation with one another? Did they ever meet one another? I mean, this dude was, Jinwoo's basically secretary for 90% of the series, but I don't think he ever actually met Jinwoo's family. That's weird. That's very, very weird. But anyway, another weird twist. He actually ends up proposing to Jinwoo's sister, not with a ring, but with a freaking skyscraper. The same skyscraper he once tried to bribe Jinwoo with in order to get Jinwoo to become a hunter working under his father, which, oh, that is weird. That is so overwhelmingly weird, but I absolutely freaking love it. Oh, and before I go, I just need to tell one more story about the time Jinwoo fought the American military. Well, technically he was fighting giant monsters called Titans, but he first had to deal with the American military before he could get to them. Essentially, one day he woke up and he felt a disturbance in the forest, and he realized, wait a minute, there's a gate opening, there's something coming, and they are really freaking big. And when he got there, he found the entire, American military was sitting there waiting with guns, rocket launchers, missiles, all that, to try and kill whatever came through the gate. And Jinwoo basically went up to him and said, get out, this is my job, I'll deal with it. And they tried to shoot him, and it went very, very poorly for them, as he basically was able to catch all the bullets in midair, and it made everything around him float, and then the military realized, yeah, we should not take off this dude, and they fled, and then watched from a distance as Jinwoo and his army of shadows fought an army of giants, and then brought that video to the president and his entire cabinet, and they all kind of stared in shock like, what do we do now? What is going on? This world has giants and demons and monsters. What do we do at this point? And the answer they came to was, let's go ask a psychic. So they went to the fortune teller who told them, yeah, don't mess with him. I know who this guy is. He's not trying to do anything evil. He saved the world multiple times, and it'd be best if you just do not freaking tick him off. And they seem to take that mostly, at face value, realize, yeah, there's not a whole lot we can do in this situation, so let's just do what the psychic said. The most un-American response I could ever imagine. Because, yeah, also, as it turns out, the fortune teller also remembers at least parts of the alternate timeline. And if you're wondering why Thomas Andre is in the scene with her, watering her plants, that's because she saved his life. Basically, she predicted that he would die in a car crash, called him up and said, hey, check your car's fuel cap thing, whatever. I don't know cars. And basically was able to save his life. And when he asked, hey, why'd you come and save me? I'm just, a regular old professional wrestler. Well, I mean, I'm the best professional wrestler in the world, but I don't think you're into wrestling. So why'd you save me? And she responded, because you helped save the world. Much to his complete and absolute confusion. So yeah, almost nobody actually remembers the altered timeline besides the detective and I guess Jinwoo's girlfriend, and that's it. Everyone else just lives in complete and utter absolute ignorance is bliss as Jinwoo just goes on to, basically be a god of this world, saving the little guy as best he can. But please, let me know down below. What do you think of this final chapter of the series? What do you think of the ending? Is there anything you would have done to change the ending? What do you think of my discussion about the epilogue? Is there any part of that you wish had made into adaptation? And we still have a lot of anime rumors going around. Do you think this series is actually going to anime? And if so, do you think they should change anything? I mean, definitely seems like a few plot points I feel like could be fixed a little bit. Characters who should get a bit more of an explanation. I mean, there was the demon girl from the Tower of Demons. She seemed like she'd be super important, and then Jinwoo just kind of abandoned her and never went back, which weird, very very weird. And there was, the girl, his first girl, who was with him in the first double dungeon. He saved her from the assassin. Then she retired, and we never really saw her again. I mean, she was in all the, fights moving forward. She was in the background. She was helping, the other hunters deal with monsters that end up breaking through the lines, but she never really did or said anything important after that. I mean, I don't know, maybe she was supposed to be his girlfriend, but the author changed his mind when he decided on the character who just really, really likes the way that Jinwoo smells. Yeah, kind of creepy. That's kind of creepy. But anyway, let me know down below. Be sure to like and subscribe to the next video. And until then, peace!